The hospital hallways gleamed under fluorescent lights at 2 in the morning, empty except for the soft squeak of wheels and the quiet hum of machinery. Dr. Elena Marsh stood at the seventh-floor window, coffee cup forgotten in her hand, watching snow fall over the city she'd helped heal for 20 years. She'd built this place from a struggling community clinic into something that mattered, but lately the corridors felt longer. The victories felt hollow. She came to this window every night now, searching for something she couldn't name. A sound pulled her attention, small footsteps, hesitant but purposeful. A boy stood at the edge of the hallway, maybe 9 years old, in clothes too thin for December. His dark hair stuck up at odd angles, and his jacket was patched at the elbows with different colored fabric. He carried a mop that was nearly as tall as he was. "You shouldn't be here this late," Elena said gently, setting down her cup. The boy looked up at her with eyes that seemed far too old. "I work here," he said simply. "I'm helping my dad. He's the night janitor." Elena felt something catch in her chest. "You're working? At this hour?" "Just sometimes." The boy shifted the mop to his other hand. "When Dad gets too tired. He works 2 jobs now, since Mom—" He trailed off, looking down at his worn sneakers. Elena knelt slowly, meeting his gaze at eye level. "What's your name?" "Marco." "I'm Elena." She paused, studying the exhaustion etched into his young face. "Have you eaten dinner, Marco?" He nodded too quickly. "We had. Dad brought something." The lie was gentle, protective. Elena recognized it immediately, the kind children tell when they're trying to shield the people they love from shame. "There's a cafeteria on this floor," she said softly. "Would you sit with me for a minute? I could use the company." Marco hesitated, glancing down the hallway where his father was presumably working. "I should help Dad finish." "Just 5 minutes," Elena said. "I'll explain to him if he asks." Something in her voice, perhaps the loneliness that echoed his own, made Marco nod. The cafeteria was closed, but Elena had keys to everything. She unlocked the kitchen and found soup still warm in the industrial containers, fresh bread wrapped in cloth. She made 2 bowls, carried them to a table by the window where the snow painted the glass with white. Marco ate slowly at first, then faster, trying to maintain dignity while his hunger showed through. Elena pretended not to notice, talking about small things. The snow, the city lights, how quiet the hospital became at night. "Why are you here so late?" Marco asked finally, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. "I like the quiet," Elena said, which was true. "And I suppose I don't have anyone waiting for me at home." Marco looked at her with sudden understanding, that awful wisdom that came from living through loss. "My mom used to wait up for us," he said quietly. "Every night, no matter how late Dad worked, she'd have tea ready." "What happened to her, Marco?" "Cancer." The word dropped like a stone. "We couldn't. The treatments were expensive. Dad tried. He worked so hard. But it wasn't enough, and she—" His voice cracked. "Sometimes I help him clean now because I think if I work hard enough, maybe I can, I don't know, make things better." Elena's throat tightened. She'd seen this story too many times. Families destroyed not by disease, but by the cost of fighting it. She'd built this hospital to prevent exactly this. But the boy sitting across from her was proof that she hadn't done enough. "Marco," she said carefully, "where do you and your father live?" "We have a room. It's okay. It's warm most of the time." "Most of the time?" He shrugged, a gesture too adult, too resigned. "The heat doesn't always work, but Dad is looking for a better place. He just needs to save more money first." Elena thought of her own house, 3 bedrooms empty except for echoes and expensive furniture she never used. She thought of her bank accounts, investments, all the security she'd built like walls around a heart she'd forgotten how to open. "I'd like to meet your father," she said. Marco's eyes widened. "Did I do something wrong? Is he going to get in trouble because I—" "No." Elena reached across the table, stopping just short of touching his hand. "Nothing like that. I'd like to talk to him." 20 minutes later, Marco led her to a supply closet on the 3rd floor, where a man was reorganizing shelves with meticulous care. He was tall, thin, with the same dark hair as his son and hands that trembled slightly from exhaustion. "Dad, this is Dr. Marsh. She wanted to meet you." The man, Roberto, turned, and Elena saw his face drain of color. "Sir, I'm so sorry if Marco bothered you. He knows he's not supposed to—" "She's a woman, Dad," Marco whispered. "Ma'am, Dr. Marsh, I apologize. Marco shouldn't be here. I told him to wait in the break room, but sometimes he worries and—" "Mr. Rodriguez," Elena interrupted gently, "your son hasn't done anything wrong. In fact, he's been keeping me company. I was hoping we could talk." Roberto set down the spray bottle he'd been holding, his expression wary. If this is about Marco being here, I can make sure it doesn't happen again. Childcare is expensive and the night shift pays more, and I thought if he slept in the break room. How long have you been working 2 jobs? The question seemed to surprise him. Since Maria passed. About 8 months now. And you're managing the rent, food, utilities? Barely. The word came out raw, honest. Roberto looked at his son, then back at Elena. I'm sorry, I don't understand why. I'm just a janitor, he said quietly, almost to himself. Why would you help us? Elena felt something break open in her chest, something that had been locked away for years. Because I can, she said simply. And because your son asked me if I was lonely, and I realized I've been standing in empty hallways for so long, I forgot what it was like to be needed. She took a breath, the words coming faster now. I have a house with empty bedrooms. I have resources I've been hoarding, like they'll protect me from something I can't name. And I have a hospital full of people I've helped from a distance, behind glass, never letting anyone close enough to matter. She looked at Marco, then at Roberto. I don't know if this is appropriate. I don't know if it makes sense, but I'm standing here at 2 a.m. talking to a boy who's trying to save his father by pushing a mop, and a father who's working himself to exhaustion to honor his wife's memory. And I'm thinking that maybe we could help each other. I don't understand, Roberto whispered. I'm offering you both a place to stay. No rent, just companionship maybe, a chance for you to work 1 job instead of 2, a chance for Marco to be a child instead of a janitor, and for me, her voice caught, a chance to remember why I built this place, why I became a doctor, to help people, not from behind glass, really help. The silence stretched between them, fragile as spun sugar. You don't even know us, Roberto said finally. No, Elena agreed, but I'd like to. Marco looked between them, his young face struggling to process hope he'd learned not to trust. Why? He asked, echoing his father's earlier question. Why would you help us? I'm nobody. We're nobody. Elena knelt again, meeting his eyes. You're the boy who asked me if I was lonely, she said softly. The boy who worked at 2 a.m. to help his father. The boy who loved his mother enough to try to fill the space she left behind. She smiled, feeling tears prick her eyes. That's not nobody, Marco. That's extraordinary. She stood, facing Roberto. I'm not asking you to trust me immediately. I'm asking you to consider it. Come see the house. Let Marco sleep in a real bed for a night. Have breakfast where the heat works. And then decide. Roberto's hands were shaking. We can't accept charity. It's not charity, Elena said firmly. It's me being selfish. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of coming to this window every night looking for something I lost. Maybe we all need saving sometimes. Maybe your son just saved me, and you haven't even realized it yet. The snow continued falling outside the windows, soft and relentless, covering the city in white. In the fluorescent-lit hallway of the hospital, 3 people stood at the edge of something new, something terrifying and necessary. Okay, Roberto said finally, his voice barely audible. Okay, we'll come see the house. Marco's hand found his father's, small fingers wrapping around calloused ones. And then, with his other hand, he reached for Elena. She took it, feeling the weight of trust, of hope, of a connection she'd thought she'd lost the ability to make. In the hallway where she'd spent 1,000 lonely nights, Elena felt something shift. The fluorescent lights seemed warmer. The corridors felt less empty. Sometimes salvation comes in unexpected forms. Sometimes it's a boy with a mop asking a simple question. Sometimes it's a lonely doctor who forgot that healing starts by letting people in. And sometimes, late at night in a hospital where miracles happen every day, the greatest miracle is simply this: 3 people choosing to be less alone together.